welcome to InsideX, your inside information on all things moto. I'm Kyle Thompson here in Brigden, Ontario, waiting for my co-host to come in here. He's in Barrie, Ontario right now at his home, and that's Ryan Gauld, and we're going to be joined with him shortly. We're going to do this lively every Wednesday throughout the year. Just right now with these times, we're going to have to do it remotely with Ryan Gauld, usually your host for all our live shows. But right now, we're going to do it social distancing, and we're going to get Gauldy in here real quick, and we'll talk about what's coming up on the show today. There he is, Ryan Gauld. How's it going, Ryan?
Hey, I'm doing pretty good, Kyle, man. Liking to chat about moto. And yeah, the times right now are a little bit different for sure. I like it. Good job on the hosting, my friend. You're taking over my job. I guess I'm getting a pay cut now is how this is going to work.
No, I can't wait for you to be back in the office here and in the broadcast studio. Obviously, when we get on the road, we'll be doing it remotely from the tracks and whatnot, breaking down the races. But as things go, we know that Arena Cross has been canceled, or not canceled, but postponed until the fall. So what's it looking like starting with June? We're going to be at Wild Rose. We're going to break down last year's race today. But what are your thoughts on the whole series?
Well, it's obviously unfortunate. Nobody planned for this. We kind of caught wind of things, back just at the beginning of the new year. I was actually traveling into the U.S. Doing some coaching and stuff, and we were catching wind of what was going on. And us guys were chatting about it. And for sure, it's very unfortunate, but it is what it is right now. I mean, it's not just motocross, it's hockey, it's baseball, it's soccer. It's people's everyday lives that are getting changed by this COVID-19 virus. And so, yeah, Arena Cross right now is postponed to the fall. So fall looks nice and busy if you're a motocross fan, Arena Cross fan. So that's kind of cool. And then, yeah, coming up to June, we're still hoping that we can get our national season, the MX Tour side of things of the Rockstar Triple Crown Series. But it's kind of day to day. Things are changing every day. You watch the news, it's good and bad. I mean, everybody that watches the news, it's hard to get. It seems like real information. I don't know if they're just kind of feeding us stuff and dictating. But right now, it's kind of a scary time. But a time that we all just kind of need to follow through and do that social distancing like we are here on InsideX, and hoping for the best. Hopefully we can get to those racetracks soon, because I know people are probably getting a little bit bored, a little bit crazy inside their homes right now, just trying to get out to the track and trying to figure out how to control this thing. But unfortunate, but it is what it is right now. Yeah,
exactly. You put it right in place there. But yeah, it's going to be tough, and it's hard not to watch news. Sometimes you run into some things that are, on Facebook, on Instagram, that it's a bit of fake news. But as we know right now, June 1st is the day. We released on our Instagram this week on the Triple Crown that we're going to relook at the situation May 1st and talk about the West Coast. But as of right now, June 1st, Wild Rose, which would be a great start to the year, and hopefully we can all join up there and have a great race, amateur, pro, all that stuff. But as things go, we'll just play it by ear. But anyways, we're going to jump to a quick commercial, Gauldy. We're going to come back with those breakdowns. I just want to give a huge shout out to Data Video. Data Video got all this stuff in the studio. We got the cams, all the recorders, all the mics, everything dialed in. Parts Canada, Rockstar Energy bringing us Royal Distributing, Huger Off-Road Factory, Roots Factory, and Cardo Systems all coming together, bringing us this program. And for all you viewers at home, we'll be right back.
Day one, Fox has created products with intention and purpose, so we can inspire your best ride, your fastest race, your greatest adventure. It's how we connect and how we dream. We were made for inspiration and for possibilities, for fast starts and long journeys, for challengers and for champions. Fox was made for you. So get out there and do what you're made for.
There's nothing like race time. Something that's super undescribable. Nothing gives me that same adrenaline rush. It's all or nothing. Your heart starts beating faster.
A lot of nerves.
For me, I still get nervous.
The adrenaline.
You feel focused. Everything else goes away. you're in the moment. I think that's a feeling that we live for. One goal, one vision.
Welcome back to InsideX here. I'm in Brigden, Ontario. My buddy Ryan Gauld in Barrie, Ontario. We're about to break down last year's Wild Rose MX, Gauldy, and what a race that was.
Yeah, round one of the MX Tour, kicking it off outdoors. The real passion and heart behind our sport. We love AX, we love SX, but MX is where it kind of all began and where we all kicked off to kind of love the sport of motocross. And man, Wild Rose, the setting for the National Series for so many years. And the cool part about this one is that you just never know about these riders coming in there. Our champion in the 250 class, Jess Pettis, coming in hurt. Phil Nicoletti in the 450 class getting added in. The ever-wondering question, can Kyle Thompson win MX? Fasciotti going for a sixth title. He already announced his retirement. So much information going on as we headed into round number one, Kyle. It made it a little bit squirrely for our jobs and to kind of make sure we knew what we were going on because there was just so much information.
Yeah, there's too much. And the fact is that was the first time we've seen Colton Fasciotti for the year. He didn't do AX. He jumped in right in the motocross scene, as well as the first time we've seen Tyler Medaglia on a 250 outdoors in a long time, in almost a decade.
Yeah, and we would come to, we're going to cruise that year showing that 250F might not have been the best choice for Tyler. He had some ups and downs, but we'll get into that as we recap that 2019 season. Wild Rose MX going to kick us off here. And we saw that in the first moto, because we're going to see the 250 moto recap here. The first moto, Jess Pettis was out in the lead early, as he does in the second, but Dylan Wright was the man of the hour in the first one, and it looks like he was going to set the tone. But as we're going to see in this 250 recap, the 250 second moto, it got crazy for the number 19.
Yeah, it got wild there, an early crash, and you'll see that once we go to the recap, which is coming up right now. And there they're off, Gauldy. The second moto for the 250 class, Jess Pettis, who hole shotted the first moto, another hole shot for the KTM rider.
Yeah, the Red Bull Factory KTM rider, right here it is. The Dylan Wright train hits the ground in that first turn. We talked to Dylan on later on that day. He said they watered a little bit. He came in too hot. And that right there kind of sailed away the chance of a 1-1 day. But up front, it was unbelievable action. And if you remember, Kyle, we were just cruising in our heads trying to figure out the points as Pettis was leaving. You had Welton and Rensland going at it. Pettis started fading. It was crazy how we were trying to figure out who was going to actually take this overall for the day.
Yeah, I remember it with Welton getting out front there. It was a switch up, and then Tanner Ward actually jumped up into a position of taking the overall. It was such a mix-up. It was one of those Moncton 2018 motos there we had in the 250 class.
Yeah, it was really cool. And again, you can't script a better opening round. You just want those what ifs and who can and what's going to happen. And then all of a sudden, the 21 of Osby there, he starts finding his groove later in that day in the moto and clicking away. And there's a shot of Tyler Medaglia. We talked about him kind of getting down to that little bike. He had some moments of flash on day number one here to kick off the tour, but not the Tyler that we were thinking. And there was Osby. Osby was the man of the day in the second moto. He was able to make passes, move through the pack, and basically pass every one of his competition except Luke Rensland, who would go on to take this moto win. But Osby, he was finding ways around everybody. He was making passes on all of the guys he's chasing.
Yeah, I got to say, look at all those FXR riders up there. You got Osby, Welton, and Rensland. So the FXR boys ripping. But yeah, Osby was a surprise, but not really. We've seen him lead the series in the past. But it just kind of seemed like a surprise with all the heavy hitters like Pettis, Wright, and Medaglia in that class.
Well, if you remember just a couple of years ago, Osby actually was leading the series and then got hurt after one of the rounds before Deschambault and was unable to kind of finish out that series. So it was great to see Osby coming back, and this would actually be Josh's only victory in 2019 before he got injured and left the series. So it was cool to see Osby come away. But the funny thing is, as we get the results at the end here, you're going to see that Osby actually doesn't win a moto on this day. It's Rensland and Wright winning the motos. But here's that incident right here that really caused a bunch of controversy. When Dylan Wright goes off the track, sails into the spectators. There's team manager of the GR team right there, almost knocking him down. And Dylan Wright would actually go off the track there and come back on. There was thoughts that he might have come on too aggressive. The rule was made that he didn't. There was Rensland grabbing the victory. He would go 6-1 on the day. Osby with a 2-3 on the day and to claim that overall. But absolute crazy stuff as we get right into the 450 action here at moto number one. And it was Mike Alessi with that whole shot and running away. He would do it in both motos, but Colt Fasciotti would start to find his groove. He really wanted that sixth title this year.
Yeah, so Colton Fasciotti really fast early on. We've seen it 2018, a couple years ago now, where he dominated Wild Rose. So he's very comfortable at this track, the hard rutted soil there. And yeah, he got out and it looked like the same thing from 2018. He was going to dominate both these motos.
And not a surprise, but I guess one of the guys in this moto that you got to give love to is your bro, Cole Thompson. Not his, I hate to say not his forte because he's so good indoors, but MX is that thing that he's just kind of that monkey on his back right now that he can't get rid of. But man, he was on fire this day. He loved the dry, dusty, ruddy conditions. He was clicking by. He would go on to finish third in moto number 1. But the guy we got to give a little love to here, coming in the background of the FXR Rockstar Energy OTSF Yamaha ride, Phil Nicoletti. You take a look at the way Nicoletti's career, he's dubbed as the man that never gets the breaks. He always seems to get the shaft and doesn't get these extras and everything. He's just a workhorse, never been to Wild Rose, and the guy comes out swinging here. And man, he was making passes and really fighting. And this pass right here on Cole Thompson, this was a doozy one, Kyle. This was a great one around the outside.
Yeah, a Villapoto-esque pass around the outside, and look at that, Phil Nicoletti making it work. And exactly, he was strong all day, and I wanted to say he was probably the fastest guy. A little bad luck in that second moto, stalling his bike, but that first moto, he hunted down the number 1. Couldn't make the pass, but he hunted him down, and Alessi's still out in the front at this point in the moto, and we've seen him not have the energy that he did on the East Coast. Early on in the series, he just wasn't up to par on his fitness, and you could tell in these 2 Wild Rose motos.
Yeah, you'll see him kind of fade a little bit here, and we'll see later on as we talk about this series as we keep going at InsideX here that Mike Alessi starts to pick up the pieces for sure. But this pass right here, Fasciotti, look at how fast he goes around that outside line. He wanted this moto. He wanted to come out swinging. He saw his teammate Dylan Wright do it. He knew that team manager Derek Schuster was probably giving Dylan some extra props. He was winning there, and then he wanted to showcase his stuff there. And Phil Nicoletti trying to make the pass on Alessi. Alessi not making it easy for him. Then he finally makes that pass. Nicoletti moving in a second there and getting that Rockstar Energy OTSFF Yamaha. And then here comes Thompson as well. He puts Alessi back one more spot. So the 3 combatants that we thought were going to fight for the title would go 1, 2, 3 in this moto. I guess a bit of a surprise for the Phil Nicoletti for sure because he's never been to this track. Man, he was hot, but you can see the stats right there. Give a little shout out to Keelan Meston, a great moto. He was up front on the start early on, the local boy, doing good. Matt Gurkey, a quiet 5th in that moto. Here we are, moto number 2, and once again, the Honda Canada GDR Fox Moto Concept Smart Top Bullfrog Spa 800. The hole shots, man, this guy he's been getting hole shots before you were putting gel in your hair, Kyle.
Yeah, no, he got both hole shots along with Pettis that day. They swept both hole shots there. One thing I wanted to mention.
RoyalDistributing.com. The RoyalDistributing.comers.
One thing I wanted to mention, though, Gurkey, quiet 5th in that first moto, but a quiet day altogether. Kind of, I'm not sure what happened to the Cowie rider that day. It just wasn't his track. It wasn't, he's used to the sandy soils where he can really pin it, so that the clay might have got to him. But there you go. Thompson into the lead early in this second moto. He's going to try to run and hide from the 54, who we said fastest all day, the number 54 Yamaha Rockstar rider.
He actually, set both fastest lap times in the motos, and there he is moving into second spot. One thing we won't see in this recap, he started to click away and actually catch Thompson later on in the moto, and then he had a tip over, fell back behind Fasciotti and Alessi, and had to pass them again. So Phil Nicoletti proven here at round number 1, he was in this for the long haul, and he was here to try to claim the championship. And man, he was so impressive to watch. And here he is battling with the 1 and the 800 right now, and he's just putting that Yamaha power to the ground, blitzing by both of them, and making his move to the front. And he would click off a second, going 2-2 on the day. And as I dubbed, he always gets the shaft. The 2-2 would end up making him third. Yeah, beautiful setup there. Like old school outside, inside. You used to see that stuff back in the old 2-stroke days. But here's that Red Bull Factory KTM Thor Racing ride. Cole Thompson, he would grab the win. And I love this right here, Colin. You know, obviously, we're stoked for your brother. He was so excited. He was so pumped about taking that win. It was his first win in a while outdoors during a moto. Remember, he won some motos last year in that 2018 only. And it was cool to see him win that. But Phil Nicoletti, he goes 2-2 for third overall. So it just continues the saga of Bad News Phil, as they like to call him,
Yeah.
So bummer for him. But, man, another toss-up. The 250 class, crazy moto victories. 4 different moto winners on the day. What a way to start that 2019 campaign, and giving us an easy job to call it because just so much information.
Yeah, that was just a great day, and 2-2 for Osby got him the overall. So what a
Yeah.
day for Phil and Josh Osby, the two friendly Americans. But we're going to come right back after this commercial. We got some insider trading to go over, and we'll get to that right after this commercial.
Before the lights, before the cameras, before the crowd roar, before the gate drops, before the first turn, before the finish line, the podium, and the champagne. It's just me and my gear.
Day one, Fox has created products with intention and purpose, so we can inspire your best ride, your fastest race, your greatest adventure. It's how we connect and how we dream. We were made for inspiration and for possibilities, for fast starts and long journeys, for challengers and for champions. Fox was made for you. So get out there and do what you're made for.
And we're back here, and sorry about that, Gauldy. I thought we had Jamie from Cardo on the line, but it looks like we're going to go to the Parts Canada prediction first of all. And it's a question I want to ask you, Gauldy. What is your prediction for the 2020 schedule? I know it's up in the air, and it's weird to think like we got a schedule, but we kind of got to wait on some things. So, what is your prediction for this year?
Oh, I love that we're live on television right now, Kyle. You put me right on the spot. Thanks a lot, bro. My predictions as of right now, obviously we've got a plan in place as far as our Rockstar Energy Triple Crown Series MX Tour goes, starting on June 7th at Wild Rose MX. We know there are a state of emergency going on in every province, and things are changing day to day. It's because of this COVID-19. So making a prediction, I believe, is a little bit hard to do, but making maybe an assumption on this one here, the Parts Canada assumption, I guess I can call it today, because I think it's going to be hard for us to press on in June, considering that the province of Alberta has just announced just a day or so ago that the events are by permit are being pushed back. But those are different events than what we do have at Wild Rose. So we're just going to have to kind of play it by ear. So predictions right now is we're just going to have to wait and see what goes on over the next few weeks to see if we can get this MX Tour started. I mean, obviously, you and me, the boys behind running the show here, and all our sponsors and all our wonderful customers and families, we want to be at the track, but we got to be safe and considerate of everything that's going on. So I predict right now that we're just going to have to sit idle for a few more weeks before we can really dive into a plan for 2020 and where we can attack.
Okay, so that is your assumption prediction. How about we do a little fantasy league? Say we get pushed back to July. Now we're sitting in July. We're sitting at Gopher Dunes time. It's hot. So hot out. Every time we're at Gopher Dunes, it's the beach and it's boiling hot. Anyways, we start the series at Gopher Dunes, round one. Do we take the West and we put it behind Walton and then try to fit in the Arena Cross in September, push back Supercross? What do you think would be a good scenario if June comes and we're still in this predicament?
Well, I guess if we're in that predicament there in July, you know what? I say we have to do what is best for us. And that might come across as a bit selfish, but the Rockstar Triple Crown Series has to run in accordance to television packages and everything that we can offer. And obviously, we're going to reach to our teams and talk to our manufacturers, but we have to do what is best for our series to push through. So if I had to make a sort of a look at the future here, then I would say we try to keep everything on the East and not force everything out West. That way, our budgets, our travel, all those kinds of things that we're losing and making income, and right now that we aren't having races and having our stuff that we bring in income and all that kind of stuff, we could keep it more tighter on the East, maybe Ontario, Quebec, the Atlantic region, and we might have to skip the out West MX Nationals this year and then just dive right into the fall. And as far as Arena Cross, Supercross goes, now obviously that's far-fetched, but we have to do what's right for the series the people that are invested in our series and what is right for our business as a whole. Again, that comes across a bit selfish, but that's the way that I would look at it from my standpoint.
Yeah, and to be honest with you, I think a lot of the teams at this point, they're probably getting a little bit of a pay cut during this time, as we don't have Arena Cross, so they're probably losing out on that paycheck moving forward until it actually is rescheduled. So it might be a thing for teams, riders, privateers to do just an East Coast style thing. And who knows, maybe we'll do a 3-moto format. We'll get some more motos in there and see how that goes.
Yeah.
But as far as we know, we're just going to play it by ear like we talked earlier. But thanks for your prediction, assumption, and a little fantasy league there. We're going to take a quick commercial break, but we want to thank Data Video for helping us out with all the stuff in studio, Parts Canada for putting this on, Rockstar Energy always backing the crew up, and everybody else that supports us. We're going to come back after these commercials with Insider Trading.
There's nothing like race time. Something that's super undescribable. Nothing gives me that same adrenaline rush. It's all or nothing. Your heart starts beating faster.
A lot of nerves.
For me, I still get nervous.
You know, the adrenaline.
You feel focused. Everything else goes away. You're in the moment. I think that's the feeling that we live for. One goal, one vision.
Welcome back to InsideX. This is Insider Trading. And this is a spot where we look at products, different things that's going along, maybe a rider change of teams, whatnot. But this is our insider take on this. And right now we're going to talk about the Cardo Systems, the in-ear to just communicate with your spotter, with your mechanic, or with your teacher. Gauldy, MRC just passed this. What are your thoughts on this being an actual coach and a rider? What can this do for us?
I'll start on the coaching side of things. This thing is going to be amazing as far as a coaching thing goes, because instead of, stopping the rider and having to chat with them and give them some tips, they can continue on and do the drill or the section that we're doing. And you can just say in their ear, hey, elbows up, foot in, keep your toes in, gear higher, revs higher, whatever it may be. So in that world, I think this is going to be an unbelievable addition for anybody that is doing coaching or training, or even if it's just a dad and a son out in the backyard. And they want to talk that thing. And it can kind of be fun that way as well, to kind of enjoy it with like a family aspect as well. For me, sometimes I get a bit passionate, so I might yell in that ear of that poor rider coming across. And then now if we swing it into the racing world, I kind of see a bit of a positive and a negative, I guess, with this one, because some riders are so focused that all of a sudden they got a guy talking in the ear. They're really going to have to, have a spot where they want to hear from that person on the other line. And of course, say the mechanic gets a little bit loud or a little bit angry, or gets a little bit excited about a pass or something, and he's screaming in the right of the ear. So that kind of stuff will have to be worked out. But as far as the positives, I think this could be such a great advancement and such a great addition to the quality of a rider out there, especially if it's a guy that's way ahead. You can kind of say, hey, you got time, you can really talk. And if you're really good at talking and calm, I think you can give some good advice and really bring it to the table where a rider could use it to their advantage.
Yeah, and you're exactly right there. And I think it takes the right spotter, mechanic to do this with the rider, because it has to be calm. You listen to the F1 drivers, and it's always so funny listening to those guys. It's like they're just monotone like this.
Yeah.
Nothing really excites them. And even after they're like, good job, guys, good race, very, very chill. So that's what it's going to take, I think, because you know how it is in a racer, and you're in a heated battle, or you're trying to find that extra line, and you're dealing with roost, tear-offs, all this stuff, and now you got a guy in your ear. It's a lot more going on.
Yeah, it's not going to be just something simple, plug and play for sure. The guys are going to have to work at it, and like they're testing suspension or testing tires. If they want to use this thing, they're going to have to test it and kind of go through the ups and downs with it, a little bit of trial and error for sure. But I truly believe that this could be something. You look at every other motorsports, like you're just saying F1 or NASCAR or whatever it is, they use this system already, and it works perfectly And then imagine for us on the live TV show, if we can cut in to listen to these guys chatter as we're watching the race, it's just going to only make our sport just a little more advanced, a little bit more attractive to that everyday fan, hearing from the rider in the moment. It's going to be very cool. And like I said, a little trial and error, but we're going to get there, and it's going to be neat. It's awesome to have these guys on board.
Yeah, I'm excited for it. We're actually going to check out the Cardo system Ricky Carmichael and Jeff Emming were using during training. I got a video of that, and we're going to come back with Jamie from Cardo.
Hey guys, RC here at the goat farm today. Really excited to have Cardo Communication Systems on board for this RCU camp. I think it's an awesome tool from a rider's perspective as well as a coaching perspective. I personally wish that we would have had that when I was racing. As the rider is actually on the track riding, I can talk, give them advice and coaching on things that they can do rather than having to pull them off, talk to them. They were able to ride a lot more. And the reason they were is because I didn't have to stop them and tell them, hey, this is what we need to do, try doing this. I could let them continue riding and they could still hit the section, whereas before I'd have to stop them. So that was what I noticed. I'm like, man, they got to ride a lot more than what they normally would.
So a drill like this is to teach them balance front and back, and then balance left and right, and then also to use their lower body to balance the bike and to control it. And it's in such a slow speed, that's when you can really notice how good your balance is.
We got to use it at the Monster Energy Cup last year. I know Chad Reed was using it. He really loved it. We're working hard to hopefully implement it to where the guys can use it in racing. I think that's the next step. I think from a safety standpoint, it would be fantastic. As far as the riders at the goat farm, these guys can use the Cardo system when they're out there doing their laps. You can tell them what they need to work on while they're actually in the moto. We can radio into them on the second lap, say, hey, you need to work on this area of the track, and they can do that and get 20 laps of it in instead of me having to wait until they're done. The Cardo system for us means efficiency.
Welcome back, InsideX, and I got a special guest with us, Jamie Cheek, all the way from Dallas, Texas, and he is in charge of this Cardo system that we've been just talking about. Ryan and I was just breaking it down, how cool it's going to be, Ryan being a trainer and whatnot. But Jamie, just give us a little bit of a background, how this got started and what your background is with the company.
I started with Cardo back in 2007, and we were the first company to develop Bluetooth communication for motorcyclists. We took the Bluetooth and we stretched it, so we started doing bike-to-bike with Bluetooth and saw the need for that. I come from a racing background many years ago, and I've always wanted to be able to communicate because you see it in other racing sports. So, as technology evolved, because Bluetooth won't give you what you need out on the track as far as distance or versatility. So, as technologies evolved, then we had a technology come out back in 2015 that was a mesh network that actually allowed us to be able to do that in a racing environment, a training environment, and we just took it from there.
Yeah, that's unreal. And watching the video of Jeff Emming, Ricky Carmichael, two legends of the sport, using it. Also, you guys had Chad Reed at the Monster Energy Cup, and I've seen a couple other fast riders using it. One thing that Gauldy and I were talking about is the distraction level. Obviously, these guys are going at a fast pace, supercross, outdoors, doing a lot of stuff. Are riders saying, is it distracting at all, or is it just kind of like it depends on your spotter and who's talking to you?
It's different for each rider. Certain riders, I got one pro rider, I can't mention his name, but he rides it. And what he does with it is he tells his spotter, his mechanic, hey, talk to me during this one section. That's it.
Yep.
And then I've got a couple other riders that I interviewed and talked to them about it. They're like, hey, they don't even bother me. It's just like they'll tell me something, I pay attention. If not, then I'm not worried about it. It's no distraction at all.
Yeah, no kidding. And I know a lot of riders, during training sessions and stuff like that, they would wear earbuds for music reasons. You're going out there 30, 40 minutes.
Right.
So some riders might be used to just that noise there. But that was my next point is maybe it's like a pit board and there's like 1 or 2 spots on the track where you're like, hey, I'm waiting for your voice to come in and tell me something new, over a big tabletop or a straightaway that's very simple. But that's a good point. And Gauldy and I were talking about how the F1 drivers, when they talk, it's a very calm, almost a monotone nature. And I think that would help a lot. You're not going to get super excited on the radio set, and it's just going to come across nice and clean.
Yeah, it does. And you don't have to yell at our headsets to talk to your rider. You just tell him. A lot of the guys, Monster Energy Cup was kind of the debut of getting to use this technology in a racing environment and a training environment for the first time. And we didn't know what was going to go on when we showed up at the MEC. And we showed up and just said, hey, if you want to use it, use it. And we had over 25 riders that signed up to use it from all different levels. And every one of them, they actually said, this is such a big asset. And this is so needed in this industry. And I had people telling me, dude, it cut down in my practice times, my timings out there, it cut down up to a second off my lap time because my spotter could tell me immediately what someone else was doing and what I needed to do.
Yeah, the communication is power, really. And, growing up, being a racer and also helping my brother out mechanic side of things, there was so many times like being on the mechanic side of things where you're seeing something and there's just the pit board just doesn't do enough to relay that message, or they're just going too fast to read something like, hey, switch this line in this section, where, a simple, just quick little, input would just make the world of difference, and maybe even, protect the rider in a safer line. Or I've seen in some of the videos you guys have out where they're telling, hey, there's a rider down in the whoops, or there's a rider down in this rhythm section,
right.
And just being clear, because there's so many times where you're just like, you're cringing watching your guy go through that section and not being able to relay any message. The next point I want to say is, man, the training world's got to change. That's got to be a huge benefit for these motocross trainers, the schools that are going on, and you're seeing that with the stuff you guys are doing.
Yeah, that was a huge thing because, as you know, and all of us ex-racers know, when we are getting trained, we have to pull off the track so much, and it's so frustrating when by the time you pull off, you've kind of, you got to go over, pull your chin thing down to yell at the guy you're talking to, and he's got to yell at you about, hey, you got to move over and even an inch. And there's so many times when I was a kid, if I would have just had somebody in my ear telling me, because, I was challenged as it was, hell, I would forget what I did when I got out there. So it was like, man, pulling in, telling me what I did wrong. Heck, I didn't remember what I did wrong. So to go out there, but real time to be able to say, okay, go back, turn around, do it again, move over an inch, or do this section. And even from a pit board standpoint, in some of the racing scenarios, after the pit board's out, it's already a lap down. You got to wait for the next lap to talk again.
Especially if
it's
you're
real time.
If you're in a heated battle with somebody, you're coming by your mechanic and you want that info, but you're just in an unfavorable line that you're not going to see that pit board. Man, you got to wait, like you said, a whole nother lap. And outdoor tracks are 2 minute plus. So it's a long time to wait for that information that you want of who's behind you, how much time you got, if you got a little breathing room. So these systems, and now that it's introduced into the Rockstar Energy Triple Crown MRC use, it's going to be huge. And I'm excited to see, who's going to jump on board, if there's going to be teams on board, riders on board. And now, just from a rider's perspective or consumer's perspective, how do you get the system? Is it something you got to order direct, or is there outlets for it right now?
You can go to most any local dealership and ask for our product. We've been around, like I said, since 05, Cardo has. The product we're talking about right now is our Cardo, our Pack Talk. The Pack Talk has the mesh network, which allows you to do what we're talking in the racing environment. Our other products are Bluetooth based, which for the racing environment, they won't work as recommended. So we recommend asking for the Pack Talk, and that's the product.
Okay, so the Pack Talk's the one to go for any of the racers out there looking into getting the Cardo system. Obviously, we've seen the videos of this, and this is so cutting edge. This is awesome, and it's cool to see that the MRC's jumped on board, and it's going to be part of our series. Now, the setup of it, is it very easy to set up? Like a rider can grab this package, and it's easy to strap up, and How does that work?
Absolutely. It's pretty much turnkey. You take it out of the box. You can turn them on and they're already pre-synced when you buy them in a pair of 2. If you're going to create a small group with them, you can do that relatively easy too. I mean, within 1 minute, you can link up to, up to 15 units, although no one's going to be doing that.
Yeah.
So you can link up your whole crew of 3 or 4 or whatnot within a minute easily. The unit, when you get it out of the box, it's going to come with a mount that goes on the helmet.
Oh yeah, perfect.
Just like that. And then you have your wires that go through the helmet. You have a little mic and 2 speakers, which the speakers are just a 3.5 jack. And like you mentioned earlier, somebody can run their earbuds if they want to. A lot of guys may not want to. Me, I run speakers because I want to hear kind of what's going on behind me, and I don't want the volume up too loud, and I want to hear my motor.
Yep.
But I also want to hear the speech.
Yeah, no kidding. And that's a lot of guys run actual earbuds to cancel the noise. So it might be something that they can get those noise canceling earbuds that would work right with the system, and it'd be flawless, right in your ear there. But
the noise canceling earbuds, actually, if you mount speakers in the helmet and then run cancellation earbuds, that cancellation earbud drowns out the noise outside of the helmet, so you can hear the speaker even better.
Oh, that's good to know. It's man, I really appreciate you coming on here and the Cardo Systems. I'm so excited to actually see it in race format and see somebody riding. And maybe in the future we can get that intercom into our live broadcast and go from there. But anyways, Jamie, thank you so much for joining us, and I hope you stay safe down there in Dallas, Texas. And we'll catch up with you soon.
Take care. Thanks for being on the show.
Before the lights, before the cameras, before the crowd roar, before the gate drops, before the first turn, before the finish line, the podium, and the champagne. It's just me and my gear.
Welcome back, and we're joined by multi-time Canadian national champion, as well as a multi-time amateur champion, and just so well decorated, indoors, outdoors, everything in between. We got the Kawasaki rider of Tyler Medaglia. Thank you for joining us today, buddy.
Yeah, no, it's cool. This is new and exciting, and I'm glad to be a part of it, and get the ball rolling for something new for the series.
Yeah, no, it's cool to see just in your background. We just had Gauldy on there. He's in his man cave. You're actually in your brother-in-law, Mitch Cook's shop. He's got the Callus gear on the background. He's got the 555 of your gear that you wore at, was it Ironman?
Yep, Ironman. It's like my best AMA finish, so I had to keep the gear, right?
Yeah, and it's cool. I love the 555 with the big 5 in Canada, and then you get the 555s in the States there. That was cool. Great ride by you. That was that last year that you did that?
That was in 2018,
so,
a couple years ago.
It felt like last year. But anyways, what have you been up to? What was the winter training like?
The winter training was really good. I went down to Jacksonville, Florida, where I kind of been staying with the Edgar family, and it's just kind of my stomping grounds. There's a bunch of tracks that are kind of central to there, and then with the team we went to California and did a bunch of testing with Pro Circuit. We did all like the Glen Helens and State Fair and all those tracks in Nuevo. So it was really productive. And and then when I flew home, back to Jacksonville from then, I did 2 GNCCs. And just for some, get a crazy boost of fitness once you do one of those races. It's like 6 30-minute motos without stopping. So I really enjoy those too.
Yeah, that's intense. One thing I want to bring up, you mentioned Glen Helen, and I obviously follow you on Instagram. I think that's when you went there, that was your first Thursday Glen Helen. And how crazy is that?
It was pretty crazy. I was more impressed with how the track is because I've been to California a bunch of times, and I've ridden the tracks around there, and I mean, they're nothing special. We're spoiled in the East Coast with good dirt and stuff. So But yeah, Glen Helen was amazing. Like the whole thing, the track was cool. The vibe was good. There was a lot of people. It was really racy. You know, you get that competitive vibe. That's what the best thing about being out there is, like, everyone's racing each other, and you know, everyone's got stopwatches, and it's intense. And yeah, I like it. That's just like kind of more my wheelhouse, you know, than just you know, kind of being lackadaisical, you know, just being super chill up home.
Yeah, and that's what East Coast is a lot chilled. A lot of the riders are separated. You don't get a lot of the fast guys together. I spent a few years out there with my brother Cole and just watched. I never rode out there with those guys. It's banana lands. But no, it was pretty cool to get out there and see what it's all about. It's literally like AMA national practice every time you go out. And like you said, stopwatches are going and everybody's racing. And literally the mechanics have a list of all the fast guys' lap times and you're comparing. It's crazy.
Yeah, like as soon as you're on the track, it's go time. Like there's no messing around. You're not putting around. You're not doing slow laps. Like you get on the track and it's like national mode. Like go.
And that's what we see. You're pretty good at that, getting fast lap times in the nationals. You're always the first guy to just jump out there, get the start in practice, and go and put the heaters in. So that's right up your wheelhouse for sure. Now talking about the GNCC, you're saying it's 3 hours long, right? So you're nonstop, and I've seen some videos, clips of you through Instagram and whatnot, coming in, gas stop. Jim Edgar was in there. I seen a video of him in there. He's got the water bottle. He's getting you replenished, and then you're going again, which is insane.
Yeah, it's those guys are nuts, man. Like when you're trying to ride up front, it's like it's 90% moto pace. Like it's not messing around. My heart rate was like, you know, I think I averaged at like 168. Like my max is 180 some. Like it's pretty low to begin with. So my heart rate was just pounding for the whole 3 hours. And then like when you're done, it's just like you're dead, especially the sand one. Like it's like gopher, but you don't get the smooth practice. Like you just start right into bumps the size of Volkswagen Beetles, and it's pretty crazy, man.
Yeah, and now I just got a small understanding of how that world works. There's like 1,500 plus bikes there. So you guys are later on. Like there's a bunch of waves that go before you, and then you guys go out, and that's why it's so rough, correct?
Yeah, and we ride a lot of the stuff. The four-wheelers ride the day before, and they get like 1,000 four-wheelers. So like 1,000 quads are going through it, and then you got like 800 bikes in the morning race, and yeah, it's just like nonstop bumps, and it's just crazy. Yeah.
Okay, so you do all this off-road. You go over to Portugal recently to do the ISDE, but I want to step back a little bit to where it all started. And my first memory of you would be a YZ85. I want to say you had a flashy orange, maybe a Grant Langston replica helmet, number 117 on Yamaha. But where did it all started? Actually, we're going to try to get an image of your dad's first bike up here, and we'll talk about that. So there's your dad's first, and it's a Honda. It says right on there. I don't think you replicate. That's a Honda, what, 50?
It's a QA50, yeah, 1969, I think. Like they had flowers on the decals and stuff. It was pretty cool.
So give me a little background on that. So your dad got into that. Oh, we've got some helmets there from the MX Nations. But talking about your dad's bike, now where he got that and he got into moto, he met your mom. Tell us about that.
Yeah, like I was saying, that bike was pretty much the reason why I even exist. I mean, if my dad hadn't gotten into that, he wouldn't have gotten into motorcycles, and then, you know, met my mom who's into motorcycles, and yeah, it's just cool. I mean, it's in our blood. It's in our genetics. My wife raced, my brother races, my brother-in-law races, my father-in-law raced, my father raced. It's just, like motorcycles are life. It's crazy. Yeah.
So now going to your brother, we actually had a great trip. I went over with my brother Cole, and you and Jeremy were both racing for Team Canada. So it was Cole, Jeremy, and yourself. And that was a great trip with your parents there. Everybody, Heidi came over. But you guys are just full-on background, a lot like we are in the Thompson family. But you guys are now got Heidi in the mix with Mitch. So you guys have just moto nonstop. So you got your son, Talon, and your two daughters. Now, will they be getting into racing?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, my daughter Millie she's definitely a girly girl. I mean, she gets on the bike and she'll be like, "Okay, I'm sweaty, I'm done." So, like, I don't know if she's got that grit for that. But I mean, I'm not going to deny them. If they want to race, then yeah, I'm all in. They race like Millie races her bicycle and stuff when we do the short track racing and stuff. So, like I can't stop them from racing, and Talon is into it like crazy. He was with me yesterday when we went riding. He goes, and it was 4 degrees. So, yeah, he loves it just as much as I do.
And I seen some shots of you guys. You're not being able to ride the tracks, obviously, just because everything's closed down, but you're finding your private areas to get your reps in and whatnot. But one image that crossed by our screen there was your mom and your brother Jeremy hugging it out after a huge win by him back in 2013 where he won Deschambault. That must have been a cool feeling. I believe you were in the 450. Were you in the 450 class that year too?
Yeah, it was a huge race for him. I was super stoked and proud. What happened was my bike broke in the second moto, and then I remember him coming, like I was just trying to labor the bike around, and I remember him going by in the lead as he came around the lap. And I was super, super stoked on that. And yeah, it was a really proud moment. That picture is up in my parents' place on the fireplace mantle, so it's pretty cool. Lots of memorabilia there.
Yeah, no, it was cool to see you on that Black Flag Parts Canada deal. And there on the screen now is the bronze boot that you won back in 2003 against the guys. Actually, Trevor Hall, who works at Jetworks, does a lot of he was in that class. Peter Raymer, a bunch of other fast guys, but it was very hard to win the boot as an intermediate rider. It usually goes to a junior rider, so you were one of very few guys to be able to do it as an intermediate. Then go on to winning your qualifying race back when they had qualifying on Saturday, and your first pro race.
Yeah, that was a huge deal for me. I mean, that was the beginning of all my pro career. But the thing is that after all the success I had that year and building up, I switched to 4 strokes halfway through the year. And all this, but then I had all that success at Walton, but then I missed the next 2 years of racing due to injury, and it was pretty important time and development in that age. I broke my back, and then I shattered my arm the following year, and it was tough. I think that's why I still have the drive to do it, just because my curve, like I had a learning curve was going like this, and then it just completely shut down. And I was able to live life, you know what I mean? I went to parties with my friends, I did the living part. So when I came back at a crucial age, I was already focused, and, I had all the craziness out of my system. And then it was time to just put my head down and dig and try to figure out how to be a professional athlete.
Yeah, because actually I was down in Florida. The first one you did was at Milton, old sand track. You overshot something, broke your back there. Then I want to say the next year was at County Line, which the Hayden family motor park just sold that. But that was another one, a bad crash, and you broke your humerus real bad. But yeah, it's a good point. A lot of these kids, they have all that development, they have all that time put in, but then they get to the point where it's like, man, I just kind of want to hang out with friends. I want to get a girlfriend. And you kind of got that break from it. And man, the hunger to come back and to get to that top level is huge. And finally winning. So when you first got into pro, your first pro year, 04, came in injured, 05 hurt, and then you finally win championship in 2010 with Blackfoot. And those must have been some glory years for you, being at the top of the sport and on the best team out there.
Yeah, that was huge. I mean, that was huge for my development, huge for myself in general as a person. Just it gave me the awakening of what it takes to be a champion. In 2008, I had success on the 450. It was a little bit more of a loose program. I won Gopher Dunes. I led the championship for over half the season. And then, in 09, I raced for GPF and Babbitt's Kawasaki. There was like a satellite team, did the arena cross in AMA, did some winning in there, had some good results. And then, I got scooped up by Blackfoot, and then it was like I shut down the indoor stuff and just focused on our Canadian series and just worked on what we needed to do to, win the races that I was contracted to do. So it was, it taught me a lot about focus and really risk versus rewards, and it just taught me a lot. So, and that I think helped build a pretty long and successful career as of right now.
Yeah, no, unreal career, and man, I would love to see you just keep going because you're you're fit. The fitness is not an issue. You ride like a young guy. You're very aggressive on the bike. You always get in the fast lap time, so the pace is there. How long do you think this can go? You know what I mean? Can we get into can you be the Mike Brown of Canada? Because I know every fan out there would love to see that.
Yeah, I mean, I hope so. I hope I still have the drive and the desire. And the whole thing for me is I want to, be an idol for my kids. I want to show them that, this is how much work you have to do if you want to be successful over here. You know what I mean? Like, I want to be a role model. And right now, just because, I don't know, just genetically, I matured later on. You know what I mean? Like, I still feel really young. I don't feel like I have injuries holding me back. I don't lack motivation. I'm got crazy ADHD, and like the racing kind of just zones me in, and it's the one thing that I can focus on and I have that for right now. And yeah, until you don't feel like I'm competitive enough to be able to win or fight to be on the podium, then I'm going to keep going.
Okay, and we're drawing the end of our little time slot here, but I wanted to ask you, we're uncertain of obviously the series start, but starting in motocross, is that going to help you? Is that going to benefit you at all coming into that? I know you excel well in the outdoors.
Yeah, I mean, I think that it's a good thing. I like starting in motocross. You know what? It didn't really matter to me. I was going to be prepared either way, but I ideally, it would be sweet if we started at Gopher, because that's kind of, you want to set the tone for the year, and Gopher is a more preferred track for me than Calgary. But I mean, it is what it is. I'm going to be ready. So just hopefully we can get at least some sort of racing going.
Yeah,
sooner than later.
Exactly. The fans need it. We need it. The riders want to have it. Man, that's you're exactly right. It could end up being Gopher Dunes round 1. Right now, we're sitting Wild Rose, another good track. We just actually broke down a race, the first moto from last year, where you crashed and came back to, I believe, 7th, and then the next moto got a 3rd. But definitely had the speed against those young guys. It'll be interesting to get you back on the 450s, where I believe you belong. You're a matured rider, and we've seen you win Gopher Dunes National, the nastiest one of them all, last time on a 450. Anyways, closing thoughts here. Anybody you'd like to thank there, Tyler?
Well, I just like to thank you guys for starting this up and getting something new going. Obviously, my whole team, Monster Energy, Alpine Stars, Pro Circuit, Kawasaki, Pillars, my whole family that supports me, and my trainer, Brad, on Migration Unlimited, and everyone for keeping the dream alive, really.
Awesome, man. We really appreciate it, and we can't wait to see you back on that big 450 to number 5, blazing the track. But thanks for joining us. We're going to have to get you back in here and follow up on some of these stories. Thanks a lot. And
absolutely.
We're going to head to commercial.
Anytime.
Day one, Fox has created products with intention and purpose, so we can inspire your best ride, your fastest race, your greatest adventure. It's how we connect and how we dream. We were made for inspiration and for possibilities, for fast starts and long journeys, for challengers and for champions. Fox was made for you. So get out there and do what you're made for.
Welcome back to the show, Ryan, and we're going to do the social media check, and we'll do this each week. And on the screen now, Sean Moffenbauer rocking that Rockstar FXR gear.
Looking good on the OTSF Rockstar Yamaha. Hit his head a few weeks ago, so it's great to see Sean out riding, and he's got the Insta bangers, and then Marshall Welton borrowing Tyler Medaglia's bike, I guess.
Yeah, good friend he is, letting him ride the old 450 for the week. And actually seen a cool video on the Club MX site there. Check them out on Instagram of Sean and Marshall riding together. So very cool stuff from those guys. We jump over to the GDR, the new pickup for this year, Tanner Ward.
He looks really, really fast in the pits. Man, his style and everything looks good right there. He is an Instagram dream right there. That is an Instagram dream.
There you go. And there's another Instagram dream. Kyle Thompson wearing that Parts Canada Thor gear, and it looks like a postcard there, Gauldy.
I'm assuming this is his lovely wife taking the picture. She might have to get hired at MXP or direct or something like that to take some photos.
Yeah, looks
watch
like
out, listen more.
Yeah, no kidding. And then other Parts Canada riders. This was very cool. The black flagged behind the scenes look of these guys. We had Tyler and Cole from our series and a bunch of other guys.
Yeah, that was cool. I mean, right now it's every kind of information you can get on our heroes, a little background information, and it was fun to watch the Tyler one there with his kid and stuff. It was a good laugh.
Yeah, and Davey Fraser, I seen that he lined up for Daytona, didn't make the cut for the main. He was going to go to Indy, but obviously canceled that. So we'll look forward to seeing Davey back when we start the series in Canada.
Yeah, actually qualified 40th, and then something happened. He ended up getting 41st, so he got the bad news Phil Shaft on that one.
Yeah, poor guy. And there you go, Dino on the cover of the new MXP. That is about to hit newsstands this week, and look forward to seeing that. Good article on Dean Wilson in there. And then finally, the new XD Thermo, the Rockstar Energy. Have you got your hands on some of those yet?
I'm waiting for you to get me some, Kyle. You know people. Hook me up.
Yeah, I'll have to send it down. But those are delicious, and it's got the BCAs. We're actually got Jordan Cockrum, and we've seen Tanner Ward in those things. We got Tanner Ward and Jordan Cockrum from Rockstar next week. So that's going to be a great show. We're going to catch up with those guys and see how it goes. But, man, first show, Gauldy. Awesome having you. I know you're at home in your lair. I wish you were beside me at the news desk, we'll call it. But you're at home. This has been a great show.
Yeah, awesome to hear from the boys at Cardo Systems there, Jeff. Thanks so much for your time. Awesome interview with Tyler Medaglia. The first InsideX is in the books. We're making history once again, and that's what the Rockstar Triple Crown Series has been all about since day one. Quick little plug for Daryl Murphy, and are you up for the challenge? Visit mrcracing.com and see how you could play a role in maybe being a part of the future for Canadian Motocross. Read up for the challenge. There's a nice article up there just to talk about how you can be educated and support motocross all at once. So check that out, Kyle. And a great time, buddy. Good seeing you, man. And just keep staying safe, and we'll be ready for next Wednesday. Yeah, and we'll be back next Wednesday at 8. MAVTV, your two-wheel TV app. But we want to give another huge shout-out. Data Video, taking care of the whole studio. Parts Canada, we support the sport. Rockstar Energy, obviously get that new XD Thermo, Royal Distributing. You can still order online or over the phone, so hit those guys up during this time. Hoosier Off-Road Roost Factory and the Cardo Systems. Thanks for joining us this week. We'll be back next Wednesday.